everybody, welcome to episode 18 of Restoration Z, where the rebuild begins. The first part's already gone back on. The next step is getting the engine in the frame, and what I'm going to do is try and make this a little easier for myself, is have the engine on its side, hold the frame over it, and I'm going to get Reno to slide a couple of bolts in, and that should get the engine in the right position. Then I can add the other ones in, and then when I stand it upright, I should have no risks of hitting the frame. Hopefully. That was not easy, but it was definitely easier to lift the frame over the engine than it was to try and get the engine in the frame because it's so much less weight. Obviously, you drop the engine, it's game over. I'm going to get the swing arm and everything on in a minute, but the first thing I want to do is put the VIN plate back on because I've just realised that I haven't done it yet, and it's just sat there and I don't want to lose it, so I'm going to do it. But first, I want to put a sticker of mine under here, so if anyone ever takes that VIN plate off again, they'll know who was here. Now there's a complex lighting situation for a camera, it's doing alright. I've taken one of my vinyl stickers, these are available in black, white and green from my Etsy store, I send them out myself. Anyway, I got the VIN plate and made sure that it fully covered this and put a little black dot where the holes need to be. And I get the other one over the other hole. Some basic tool lessons if you don't know it. These are rivets. Basically what these do is they go through a hole and this shaft gets pulled back through and it mushrooms the back of it on the other side of the hole and it causes this to pull together anything that is then between the two and lock it in place. You remove these by drilling them out. They come in different sizes, different lengths. You get different types of rivet tools. Focus. This one, as you can see, has different sized holes and these are just spare sort of nibs, ends. So you just find the smallest one that takes what you've got and you pop it in there. Slide that down, push against it. One. And then you'll have a little shaft that you have to get out of here. Normally the shaft just falls out. My tool's just eaten that one. I think my rivet gun's got an ejection port. This is semi-automatic. Because the next one, going through, pushes out the old pin. I didn't know that. I've just realised I may have put it on upside down, but I don't care. So the engine currently, all of its mounts are in, but they're loose, but it is holding the engine in the right place. I'm going to shove the swing arm on, get the main axle through the back, and then I can cinch everything down, and because there's like so many connection points, it should just pull itself to the right position. I hope. There isn't any way of adjusting it anyway. Forgot to mention, every bolt that did go in has been covered in waterproof grease to fill the hole, to make sure there's no seizing going on in the future. Everything's going to get clamped down really nice and tight and it will just sit there and hopefully no more seizing issues if it ever has to come apart again. The hole in the back of the engine where this pin slides through, I've packed with grease. I'm going to pack a little bit of grease into the end. I think I've already packed the grease in the bearings of the swing arm, so it should be a case of putting a bit of grease on this shaft and popping it through, and that's the swing arm back on. Right, swing arm and all other bolts are in. The engine's not moving because it's in the place it wants to be. So I'm just going to start tightening, basically. And again, with loads of grease, the top one goes in. So this can go on. And this apparently only needs to be hand tight. It's only there to sort of hold it in place. Everything else has been clamped from above and below. Come on. There we go. Just give it a very slight snug. I'll tighten this down once I've got the fork tubes in and got everything lined up, because this doesn't all lock up yet. The fork tubes help that, but we have our steering back in. I suppose if I put the forks back in now, the front wheel can go on and it can sit on that, can't it? Right, okay. Just greased up the speedo drive for the front wheel and the axle and the spacer and the seals. The headlight mounts, just, they, you know, I didn't forget to put those on. That didn't happen, so I don't think that did. You know, it just didn't. Sorry, this is so difficult to film this bit, and it looks like the bike's almost together at this point. You're like, wow, that's almost a bike. There is so much more to do, don't worry. Okay, so the front end's on loosely. No brake, nothing like that. The reason I want to get that all on is so when I've got the wheels on, I can get this off the ground, get these loose, and you kind of just shimmy it a bit, and it should fall in line as to where it should be. And then you tighten everything up and then check, basically, to make sure that your alignment is correct. But with the wheel in the axle, with these in this place, and because these can twist and these can twist, it kind of almost corrects itself. I've set the rear shock to about the right point, but I'm going to have to set up the sag once it's all back together, because obviously this is different damper and a different, same spring, different damper. I made a mistake in an earlier episode that I thought that by winding this up would relieve tension on it, and it was actually just the weight of everything that was clamping it in place. I don't know why I made that mistake. It just seemed logical to me, but yeah, it's not involved, because this can actually go out a lot higher. Oh no! Then the link for the other side. I should point out at this point, of course, you should use proper torque settings on everything. However, I'm quite happy to not do that on things like this, because I know that tight's tight, and I'm going to do it tight. Right. Side stand down. Okay, so we have a very basic rolling chassis going on here. That's amazing. I can start building more stuff on and on onto this, and then I can get back to like the wheels and sorting bits like that out, and the brake systems back on. Just realised I got slightly ahead of myself and forgot to fit the rear brake switch to the frame. Thankfully I've managed to do that. I couldn't really show you, it was right hidden under here, but that's in. And the other thing I need to replace is the chain rollers. These things, because thanks to Wimoto.com, they've sent me the All Balls Racing replacement kits with the new rollers and everything in there. So huge thanks to Wimoto. Check out the website if you ever need any bike bits. They seem to have everything. So what I've done is I've taken the little guard and the original bolt and all the original bits pretty much, and just changed the roller in the middle. The bolt that came with this seems a little bit long, so I'm going to use this one instead. So that roller's in and working fine, and now I've got to do the one underneath. Should have done this when the swing arm was off, so you probably won't be able to see what I'm doing on this one, but it's going to be the exact same thing. Here's the old one. I worked out the routing of the rear brake switch and realised I actually ended up having to remove this plug because it has to go underneath the edge of the engine where this won't fit. But I was able to pop it back on. There's just little pins you sort of press in and then you can pull it out. And there we go, we have a rolling chassis, as was my plan for the end of today. I'm actually a bit further ahead than I thought I'd be. Obviously no brakes or anything like that yet. The next job's going to be just get all the wiring and all the electrics on and in place. So that's going to be easier to do with as much of the bike apart as possible. Now it's like this, it's a lot more fun because it's like do a job, job's done, and that's done. Anyway, huge thanks for your support. If you're enjoying this series, please remember to hit the like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed, consider joining my Patreon if you're not, and a huge thanks to my patrons and to everyone who's supporting me in all the ways that you do. Catch you in episode 19, where it's more electrical work. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to see future videos. This channel is made possible by the support of the audience. Please consider joining my Patreon to get early access to videos, questions answered in the monthly Q&A, your name on screen, and some exclusive content, all for as little as $1 a month. You can also check out the links in the description to my merch and other ways to directly support the channel. Thanks for watching.